It stopped snowing for a while on Monday in Buffalo, New York, just long enough for people to start digging out and to give emergency responders a chance to look for more victims from the winter storm that dumped 1.2 meters of snow since Friday, with another 15 to 30 centimeters still expected on Tuesday. The dead were found just about everywhere, inside and out.
Those that are deceased actually on streets in our community who were trying to walk out during storm conditions, got disoriented and passed away out in the street. People who passed away in cars, and to retrieve people who passed away in homes.
The storm was made worse by howling winds. Thousands of people in the area are still without power as substations were knocked offline. There is a driving ban in much of Buffalo, but most of the roads are impassable anyway. Even snowplows are getting stuck. There are reports of looting in convenience stores that are closed. Emergency crews, including the National Guard, are still hunting for stranded cars and the people trapped inside. Across the nation, the storm is blamed for around 50 deaths in 9 states. There is some good news on the horizon. In the next few days, the eastern U.S. is in for a much higher than normal temperature jump. Buffalo will see a high of around 11 degrees Celsius. But with that will come the threat of flooding when all this snow starts to melt.
Images from Buffalo, New York will be remembered as one of the worst winter storms in U.S. history, which has ravaged parts of the country. Dozens of people have died in America since the start of the winter storm last week, and Buffalo remains the worst hit area, with the death toll climbing to at least 27 people as of Tuesday. Upon President Joe Biden's instruction, federal assistance has been dispatched to New York State.
It is ugly right now on many of the streets. I have an emergency vehicle with super 4x4, lights, a winch. So I was doing some reconnaissance myself in the city of Buffalo and downtown, and while downtown is actually okay, immediately out of downtown it's bad.
As search and rescue operations continue at full steam, local authorities are still warning people to remain at home.
If you are trying to get in the city of Buffalo, please stay out unless you're emergency personnel, unless you're a first responder, unless you're authorized in an emergency situation, because it still is really treacherous out there and difficult conditions.
Most areas in the US that experienced freezing temperatures as low as -20 to -40 degrees Celsius over the Christmas weekend have seen life slowly go back to normal since Monday. But woes in the aviation industry continue, at least for some airlines. More than 3,800 US airline flights were cancelled on Monday, including 2,800 operated by Southwest, or nearly 70% of the carrier's total scheduled for the day.
And Monday brought new misery for airline travelers. Waves of storm-related cancellations and delays from late last week stretched into the start of this week. Southwest Airlines was particularly hard hit. More than half of its flights were canceled on Monday. Long lines of weary Southwest passengers snaked around ticket kiosks and information boards. People used their luggage as pillows.
We've been in line for 3 hours. We already told them 3 hours. See, everybody's so frustrated. We all have the same story.
I had like dozens and dozens of different airports. I called the airline and they tried, but there's like no availability until after Christmas.
The storm continued to sweep across the country. It continued to impact many of our larger stations, and so the cancellations just compiled one after another to 100, to 150, to 1,000. With those cancellations, and as a result, we end up with flight crews and airplanes that are out of place and not in the cities that they need to be in to continue to run our operations. So that is ultimately exactly how we ended up where we are.
As the United States is leaving behind one of the chilliest and iciest Christmases behind, federal and local authorities are exhausting efforts to help the worst affected areas get back on their feet. Yunus Paksoy, TRT World, Washington.